I've already talked a little bit about Moishe Postone's time, labour and social domination, and I want to discuss some of his fascinating insights into the way that the changed nature of time under capitalism is crucial to understanding capitalism's power over society. And in a central chapter, he unpacks this notion of abstract time. He goes into the way that time was experienced completely differently in the pre-modern era. Time was something variable as the seasons changed, as the hours of daylight reduced or expanded. Peasants would live in a very different way to the way that we do now, where we're ruled by abstract clock time. And how did we get there? Well, Postone would posit the emergence of capitalism, the need for the discipline, the time discipline of the workshop and then the factory space as something that picked up on the clock. The clock, not of variable hours, which had been used, not the variable hours of the monastery, but the sort of abstract, exact, equal hours of the clock that pay no regard to the natural world, but name a specific time for the workers to be at the workshop, to be at the factory, that is necessary to calculate wage rates, hourly rates, the return on those rates for the purposes of profit. And I think Postone is quite right to see this as crucial to the emergence of capitalism. And I think also why the category of slavery, which has had something of a controversial or difficult to theorize place within capitalism, if we're thinking about the deep south of America, for example. But I think this is why slavery can't really fit into the capitalist system, because ultimately a slave's work is not determined by this category of abstract time. It's not a function of wage labour, which would play into this. And Postone draws on the work of E.P. Thompson, the famous Marxist historian who pioneered this field of time discipline studies. But it also brings to mind Neil Postman's book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, which is mainly about television. But I remember when I read it over 15 years ago, I was really struck by his example of clock time as being something we're so used to, something that's always ticking away at the back of our minds, but is in fact far from being neutral or natural. And whether we can ever return to a natural time is, of course, a perhaps unanswerable question. But until we recognise that time is not a single thing that's ruled by the clock, as philosophers have realised throughout history, the almost impossibility of defining what time really is. Just like anything else, we begin to realise how a category that seems so foundational is in fact loaded with certain assumptions and certain uses. And if we want to think about how we might live in a different way, how our society might live in a different way, it's a category that we need to question and think very carefully about.